My name is Currey, and this is my video out. So I am from Georgia originally. I was born in Athens, Georgia, and I grew up on a farm right outside of Athens. I kind of had a weird sort of dual upbringing in that I went to school in the really rural county where we lived, which was, we had 90 people in my graduating class. The vast majority of us started in kindergarten, first grade together, and then went all the way through our senior year. I'm not sure when. I probably kind of had a realization that I might be gay or that something was going on, but it definitely was apparent, at least in high school, and the sort of like things that I liked to do and things that I didn't like to do that absolutely didn't fit into the gender norms at the time and the place. There wasn't a lot of variety of experience in the community where I grew up. Probably needless to say, but like having a poster of Madonna up in your locker at 15 didn't fit into like the gender norms for boys at the time in Lambda County, Georgia. So that was probably like, should have been somebody's first clue that I was probably gay, but basically just kind of resulted in some, I don't know, I wouldn't even say that my experience in school was like bullying necessarily. It was just kind of like, why are you doing that? Like, what's going on? Like, that doesn't fit in. Kind of just the sort of peer pressure of like, that's not what boys do. I told my then close friends, a heterosexual couple, and they were amazing. They were just like, okay, kind of maybe we thought that at some point, but then we didn't, but now we do. But like, great, awesome. So they were just great, and so was everyone. I knew everyone at my office. I mean, there was some of the like, why didn't you tell me sooner? Like that whole thing of it's all about them instead of about you, part of people's coming out stories. So there's some of that, but everybody, I think, because I was in a progressive circle of public defenders and environmental activists and social justice people, like all of that, nobody really batted an eye. And so I think in that sense, maybe in a weird way, it was good that I came out there versus when I was in law school or at some other time, because that would not have been the reaction by anyone around me, like in those circles. So. And this position opened up at Lambda Legal that I'm in now, which was being an attorney for the Youth and Out of Home Care project there. So I had always sort of seen Lambda's work on this front, and I, of course, because of representing children in foster care and delinquency cases, I was always really interested in that. And when I was in Anchorage, people would turn to me if they had a gay client and go, well, what should I do? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm gay, but that doesn't mean I know what you should do in this situation or this young person's experience. So I was turned to as an expert, even though I had no expertise but my own experience. So I had turned to some of Lambda's materials and stuff in the past. And then when this position opened up, I just thought that is exactly what I want to do. Like, that is like all of this experience I've had as a professional. Like, I can use it there, and I've had years and years of my head banging against the same like systemic problems and seeing these systems like fumbling around and like not doing what they need to do for LGBT kids. So like, maybe this is the job for me. I've loved it in the sense that I've been able to work across the country and really engage in what has amounted to a lot of grassroots efforts to connect people who are representing children in those communities with people in the LGBT community, because of this historical like distrust. Like, LGBT people can't be good parents, they're perpetrators, they're this, like all of that. History of bans on adoption in some places, like all of that. You've always had for so long, like the community of people helping kids and the LGBT community just coexisting but never talking to one another, and just so many missed opportunities for support for kids, parents for kids, information about how to do better. Like, all of that has just been lost. So a lot of what I've been doing has been making those connections, places, and getting that work going. And really, as a lawyer, coming in and saying, like, you have to have some basic building blocks here. You have to explicitly protect kids from discrimination. You have to put policy into place. Like, you have to have these building blocks, and then you actually have to get down to changing people's day-to-day practice. And simultaneously, like, meeting young people within the system and trying to use my platform that I have at Lambda Legal, a national platform with a name brand organization, to like open doors and have access where I can then work with young people to have them share their experiences and be involved and change in many other ways. So those have probably been the two things that two aspects of my work that I've been most proud of. And also I think it's simultaneously been interesting seeing how what media covers and what stories they share, because big federal lawsuits get news stories, people making grassroots change for kids like on a day-to-day level in government bureaucracies do not make the news generally. One of my sort of mission for the year is to, with a lot of great partners that we've worked with, is try to get more corporations engaged in actually doing more than just putting an ad up during Pride Week or having a Pride float, which is all great, but like actually kind of putting money right to their mouth and supporting programs for LGBTQ youth across the country, and also really like continue to push within the LGBT advocacy community to like do more, invest more, spend more time. My latest mantra has been really getting people to connect that if you're a young person and you're incarcerated or you're homeless because people around you have not done what they need to do for you, provide support for you, that your family has rejected you, you don't have that support, that you can't be successfully employed, you can't start a nonprofit, you can't run for office, like you can't do all these things that we're now seeing a subset of the LGBT community that has had at least enough support. They're now doing that. They're candidates, they've been elected, they're doing it, they're leaders, they're lawyers in big firms that are doing pro bono work. But we now see what it can look like if we do it the right way. But that has really benefited, not unsurprisingly, white people, straight white men, like all the sort of isms like we see, like who within the LGBT community has been most successful because of all the other like challenges we have around discrimination because of race and other aspects of ethnicity, other aspects of your sex, other aspects of your identity. And so most of the kids, of course, in these systems are young people, youth of color, queer youth of color, particularly like trans girls of color who just have all of this stuff from society crashing down on them. So really trying to work hard to make sure that many parts of our community who don't and haven't had some of the same experiences that I've had as a professional are educated about what's going on and kind of really like step up. I've been really glad that just through happenstance, really, I ended up with a career as a lawyer that has ultimately like led to a path of kind of being in a position to really have the platform to advocate for this particular population. And has also been a big, I think being at Lambda Legal has been a personal growth for me of one, being in an LGBT workspace, which I hadn't before. And also I think like the number one thing is meeting a lot of trans and non-binary people, both in the professional context and as friends. That was just something, I mean, of course I knew people, but hadn't really worked directly with a lot of trans people and heard directly about their experiences and learned from them and heard, all the sort of ins and outs of their experiences, both professional and within the LGBT advocacy community and all of that. So on a personal level, that's been an amazing experience, and I've grown a lot as a person from that.